Alright, back to it. Last time we had a rather explosive encounter with our second witch. It's time to we're going straight to court. The court is now in session for the trial of Elizabeth Richmond. Knights of the court, are you ready to cross swords once more? The Inquisition is ready, as always. The defense is also ready. Or at least, I hope I am. Good. Now let me make one thing clear to you both. This trial involves an incident that occurred here in this very courtroom. The powers that be have declared it of utmost importance that it be closed as soon as possible. So I want no silliness from either of you. Is that clear, defender? What? What are you saying that me I'm for, my lord? Rest assured, my lord. Sir Wright will be hard-pressed to even utter an objection this time. This case is as open and shut as they come. Yes, I still remember that terrifying scene as clearly as it happened. To think that I would become a victim to the witch's actions, it's truly frightening. Yes, the witch was quite bold to act right in front of you, my lord. Okay, yeah, if I'm remembering, we found the Talia Magica, number 2. And one of them is Ignace. Well, Edgeworth won't tell us what the other spell is. But, whatever it was enough to convince Edgeworth that Elizabeth is, in fact, a witch. Know that we have increased security here so that it does not happen ever again. Good. That's good. Now, Inquisitor Edgeworth, your opening statement, please. As you wish, my lord. We did, in fact, take this second Talia Magica from Vanessa. This fiendish crime occurred last night in this very courtroom. A trial had been held for Miss Elizabeth Richmond, who had been accused of killing her own mother. The defense had overturned the accusations against her by pinning the blame on her sister, Miss Victoria Richmond. I didn't pin anything on anyone. She was the real witch. Perhaps so, but that does not mean the accused was of clean soul. After realizing the accused from the witch's cage, after releasing the accused from the witch's cage, the victim took her place. Then before the execution could be carried out, a vile witch ended the victim's life herself. That witch is the accused. So that's how it's gonna be, huh? I don't understand, Inquisitor. How could the accused have pulled off this crime? The logistics behind this crime shall be explained by my witness. If you'd allow me to summon him... Oh, a witness. Very good, you. Very good. You may call him in at once. Witness, come forward. Come forward? There he is. Witness, state your name and occur. Detective Hyde? Or he could do it for you. Yes, hello, people of the court. It is I, Detective Hyde. Well, I believe I've seen you before in this very court. Ah, yeah, you probably know me best as an inquisitor of the court. Sorry to say, you probably won't see much of me up there anymore. My role now belongs at the crime scene. It just so happens that tonight the court is that crime scene, so here I am. Inquisitor, or detective, or however you wish to be called. This court requests your testimony. Give us a summary of what happened last night. Coming right up. Listen up now, everyone. Alright. Flames of disaster. This incident happened last night in this very courtroom. In the beginning, there was the accused locked up several feet above where I stand now. After the defender established her innocence, a cage was lowered to release her. Thank you. They formed a makeshift bridge across the fire pit to put the victim inside in her place. The cage was raised back up to its current position, and that was when she was monstrously incinerated. Yes, that is exactly how I remember that night. This testimony is valid. For the record, we have confirmed those flames did indeed come from a witch. The Talia Magica itself proves as much. The spell used was Ignace. And let me guess, you're not going to tell everyone where it was found. Brooke is always Inquisitor. I mean, to Edgeworth's credit, it is technically, I suppose it would qualify as hearsay? Certainly not coming from our mouth, as opposed to directly witnessed and acknowledged by Edgeworth, so good work as always, Inquisitor. Although I don't see how this necessarily incriminates the accused. It's an easy one. He's the only woman here without an alibi. What? Why do you say that? At the time of the incident, only 3 female parties existed in this courtroom. The accused, the victim, and every woman may exist up in the gallery. All eyes were on the victim. It was even her confession, yet none were watching the accused. Surely at least someone saw what she was doing, right? Nobody did. All eyes were on the victim. Nobody was watching her. Not a soul. I asked everyone in the city and learned nothing. You've got to be kidding me! So, defender, you may begin your interrogation of the detective. I find that feeble. We have courtroom diagram. Courthouse diagram. Would you give a more accurate time of death? Yeah, just a few quick questions. When exactly did that trial begin? That would be 9 p.m. That's the usual starting time for these trials. And tell me, just how long did this defender drag that trial on for? Oh, it felt like it went on for 3 hours. I've never wanted to go home so badly before. There you go, defender. The time of death was what felt like midnight. Satisfied? Sure, it works. The trial wasn't that long, my lord, was it? About how high up is that cage? It's 6 feet, roughly. Oh no, mate, look up and see for yourself. It's quite high, as you can see. Yeah, it goes right up to the roof. Like, if we... I was actually just watching a playthrough of the Layton versus Ace Attorney game recently, and judging by, they do show very clear shots, like panning gallery shots of the accused in the cage, and like panning around the courtroom, and at the very least it's 6 feet as a guesstimate. It's at least twice that. Just going vaguely by perspective. Yeah, it goes out to the roof. I definitely couldn't reach that, even if I stood on the witness stand. That cage is designed to prevent any foolishly gallant defenders trying to save the accused. Though, less legitimate means. I shouldn't have said that now that the judge is suspicious of me. How is the cage lowered? Yeah, take a look in front of you, right there, beside the fire pit. See that big lever there? I can't quite make it up from here, but now that you mention it, I feel like we've seen a shot of that when we were talking to Hyde. Yeah, there. I do remember seeing something like that during my investigation yesterday. Yeah, that lever lowers and raises the fire cage. Pulling it down all the way lowers the cage into the fire pit. If you only pull it halfway, it stops at the floor level. That is what we did. That's indeed what they did. How awkward would it be if they accidentally pulled it all the way? Oopsies! Alright, that's good to know. So what happened after you lowered the cage? What is that they use this makeshift bridge? Just some wooden plank we have lying around. It's ugly, but it sure is practical. You want it? No! Alright. Thank you. Great. I'm back to being a hoarder. Alright, we have a wooden plank. What? You're saying it was the accused who did this? Yep. She was the only woman without an alibi, after all. Unless he got proof that an unknown extra one was there, unbeknownst to us all. Let's see, if I remember right, Vanessa was in the waiting area at the time. Wasn't Dr. Pilfnum there to confirm that? Damn, what a mess this all is. It seems the defense has nothing. Big surprise there. They're really bending themselves backwards to pin this on the accused. It won't work. I already see a glaring issue with this summary. There's no way it can be this easy, though, is there? Alright, Ignace... So, yeah, the distance of Ignace... The distance for Ignace is 1 meter. So let's present Ignace.
Objection!
Detective Hyde, I think you've missed something quite obvious. Me? Miss something? I'll hear you out. Unlike the others, I am far from perfect. The claim is that the accused cast Ignace on the victim while she stood in that cage, correct? A cage several feet above the ground. You saw the incident yourself. But look at the entry for the spell Ignace. Some of the circle of flame within a 1 meter radius of the caster. If the victim was several feet up in the air, how could the flames have even reached her? Aha! That's true. Why, I was wondering that this whole entire time. Oh, sure. Speak up next time. As you can see, it was impossible for my client to have been the witch. After all, if she was down here with all of us, the flames of her spell could not have reached the victim up in that cage. Alright, what do you got for me, Edgeworth? Aye! How presumptuous. Alright. Maybe the obvious trap, but we got Edgeworth to reveal his hand. And move things forward. You should really do your own research before you speak out of turn, right? Don't tell me you have an explanation for this. I would have thought you'd have been capable of reading in between the lines. Of course I do. Have you observed this scepter, Defender? Pretty well, yeah. And I found it for you. And you must be able to tell us what spells a mysterious witch is capable of using. Of course. There's Ignace, which killed the victim, and, allow me to lend a hand to our ignorant Defender. That second spell is Demir. Oh, no, invisibility. I could explain what it does, but why don't you look it up in that tome of yours? Demir, huh? Let's see. A, B, C, D... Found it. Let's see here. Causes anything the caster touches to vanish from sight? Can be applied to the caster herself. Okay, and how exactly does this help you? So right. If I told you the accused was up there next to the victim the whole time? You mean both she and Victoria were in the cage at the same time? And we couldn't see her? There's no way that could be... There's no way that could have happened. Why not? Because that's just dumb. Is it? I don't think so. Let's have another look at the courtroom diagram. As discussed, the accused was in the fire cage until the end of the trial. For the verdict, we lowered the fire cage. The accused naturally was let out of the cage before the victim took her place. Then, while all eyes were on the victim, and no one was paying attention to the accused, Demir, she chanced. Once she turned invisible, she ran for the cage. She grabbed onto it right before it was raised to the ceiling. And from there, all she had to do was cast Ignace and jump away. Ah yes, that fucking 12-foot fall. And let me guess, nobody heard the Demir incantation. People were cheering as the witch had been caught at the time. They must have drowned her out. Why is this happening? Oh, great. Well, that's settled. Detective Hyde, would you care to add these details to your testimony? I'd hate to steal the credit from you, Inquisitor Edgeworth. But sure, why not? It should probably go on the record anyways. Please give me a bit of... Just a new statement? Nope, new testimony. Alright. At least we get to cross-examine Edgeworth's theory. You have to the accused was released from the cage, she turned herself invisible with the spell, Demir. After that, she ran back to the cage and grabbed onto it as it was raised up to the ceiling. She stayed there next to the victim, unseen to us all, and listened in as she quietly confessed. However, the victim was about to say something inconvenient for her, so she cast the spell on her. Then, right before the flames burst, she jumped and ran away. Very good. That, I believe, is the only way this crime could have occurred. You see? Oh, I dread dingus. Someone else could have done this, though. Who? Who could have done this? See, Occam's razor it. We know, at this point, we know that Vanessa is very much a witch, so what we should do is call Dr. Pilfdom into question, then. Maybe there was another witch who had been hiding in this court from the very beginning. That's quite a claim. Do you have evidence backing this up? I thought not. Good. I need to clear my head. We know who the culprit is. It's not enough to think of how an unknown hypothetical witch could have done it. Think about that later. Right now I've got to break through this argument. Must be a contradiction somewhere. Well, I don't see much point in it. The defense may begin its interrogation. Alright. But she'd need the Talia Magica with her to cast the spell. How would she have smuggled it into the court? Very easily. She just had it in her hands the entire time. The mere spell allows her to turn anything she touches invisible. She just did it to the scepter. She was holding it the entire time in both the dungeon and during the trial and no one noticed? Yeah, that's the idea of making it invisible, yeah. The shape of her hands not give it away? Oh, right, of course. Nobody's willing to try and remember. Yeah. And the reason we didn't see her was because she turned herself invisible, yes. It also explains why nobody else saw. Nobody saw where she was from that point on. At that point, alright, but it's actually because Victoria was confessing, so all eyes were on her. That is the primary reason, of course. Still, it fits into the theory quite well, don't you think? If one person saw Elizabeth after the cage was raised, this theory would be ruined. So they're using the inverse to back their theory up. Thieves! Dang logic. Makes enough sense to me. It's quite haunting, though. I think the witch was right there next to her victim the whole time. Would it be difficult to hang onto the cage with the scepter in one of her hands? Detective Hyde tried it himself once he recovered the scepter. As he confirmed, it was quite easy. Yeah, it's no challenging feat. You just gotta hang on with one hand. Yeah, I guess it wouldn't be that hard after all. Alright. What could Victoria have possibly said to incriminate her? Well, what was the girl just talking about before she was burned? Was something about her mother's murder. And there you go. Your client was involved in the Rosemary murder. But I proved she was innocent. You proved she wasn't the witch who owned the first scepter. Maybe she was an accomplice in some way. Maybe the victim was merely going to announce that the accused was still a witch. Either way, the motive in this case almost certainly revolves around what the victim was about to say. Can't argue with that. She was about to be sent to the flames anyway, magic or no magic. Where did she run? I found her in the forest, so... there. I found the scepter in the mansion. You say that, but the nights I'd sent down there didn't find it. Now, why is that? I really would have been better off staying as a witness, wouldn't I? Can't let this argument stand. I'm gonna get anywhere. I've gotta tear it apart. Think. I must have made a mistake somewhere. I feel like the wooden plank is gonna come in handy here. False. Let me show you all a magic trick. A magic trick? What do you mean by that? Am I going to have to send it you to the flames too? No, it's not real magic. I'm just going to turn the case around with this evidence. With that? Oh, that would be magic. Maybe I should think a little harder before showing off like that. The mirror. False. One moment here. While I'm looking at this here. Everyone was focused on the cage. But look at the third rule here. The incantation must be announced loudly for the spell to work. I'll be perfectly honest, it took me way too long to find this because I forgot that there were rules in the Grand Grimoire. Yeah, even though it literally says here, explains the core rules of magic and witches. So, should be. Yep, there we go. Alright. Wrong again, detective. What is it? What is it now? I made it clear that the Demir incantation was drowned out by the crowds. What about the other incantation? The one for Ignes? Eh? Right before the murder, we were all listening as the victim quietly gave her confession. We could make out the victim's words so cleanly. And why did we hear the Ignes incantation? Why, that's because... yeah. Oh, please, maybe we all just missed it. Oh, you can't just casually dismiss it. You can't just keep shoving issues under the rug by claiming we all miss these things, Edgeworth. Sure, you can claim nobody noticed the accused turned herself invisible, maybe. As you said, our attention was on the victim at the time. There was an incantation to be heard coming from that direction. Someone must have heard it. I sure didn't. Did anybody in this courtroom? Did anyone in the gallery hear it? I did! Burn the witch! I don't believe this. How then? How did the victim die? Why are you asking me? You're the one who put us in this situation. If there was no incantation to be heard, then how did the victim die? Actually, I did just pounce on this contradiction without thinking. Broken image? But I might just be able to explain this. Casting magic requires an incantation to be shouted, but nobody heard one. But nobody heard one. That's the case, and that means... I can explain this. I can explain why no one heard this incantation. Oh, you better. Because I'm all out of ideas. Tell us then, Defender. What caused all of us to, What caused all of us to miss hearing the incantation? The choices here being... It was drowned out in which location it wasn't cast at all. Obviously, it's where the witch was. If I look at you... We have all kinds of potential locations. Could have been right outside the door. Not necessarily in the dungeon, but whoop. Maybe where she was, right? Nope. All comes down to where the witch was standing when she cast the spell. There really aren't many options left, but I'll humor you. Where must the witch have been standing when the spell was cast? Fire cave on the witness stand, or somewhere else? Somewhere else. The witch could have been at the fire cage. I doubt she was on any of the benches. In that case, suppose she was standing somewhere else. And I can show you where she was on one of the diagrams. Interesting. Which diagram would that be? Because we have to have three options here, so. Courtroom, courthouse, or bedroom? Well, obviously it's the bedroom diagram, right? Let's look at the bedroom diagram. Now you're clearly just wasting our time. Oh, let's hear about. What? And nobody's surprised he was bluffing. Perhaps you go to bed, Wright. Leave the rest to me. Night night, Mr. Wright. Don't let the witches bite. That was a bad idea. Ahem, let's... Courthouse diagram. Take one look at the courthouse diagram and you'll see what I mean. Well, don't leave the rest of the work to us, right? Where in this diagram is the witch standing? The waiting hall? Why that spot? No, it does not clear up all the mysteries, alright. No. I messed that one up. Alright. Give it a chance, my lord. Alright. Okay, so this is a big decision tree here. Which is location. Somewhere else. Alright, who else was in the witness stand? Vanessa was on the witness stand early, but she left. She was outside when that happened. It was just Victoria and Butler. Unless they want to use the courtroom diagram and point at the gallery. Oh, what do you know? Fine, let's have a look. Where on this diagram is the witch standing? In the gallery. Why, that's but no? Okay, very good. This is a challenge. Although there is one other way around this. Take one look at the courtroom diagram and you'll see what I mean. Could you not just point the location out to us and save it the time? Well, what do you know? Fine, let's have a look. We can go above the cage. The witch should only have been standing. Right here. Okay, it's not getting picked up. There we go. Right here. Up there? But that's the roof? You can't be serious. It's the only remaining possibility. Which who killed Victoria was standing on the roof. Oh boy. That's impossible. It's over now, Inchworth. Why do you say that? The only way the witch could have cast the spell on the victim without being heard was if she were on the roof, less than a meter away from the victim. If the accused did this, she would have to have left the courtroom. Now I ask you, knights who were standing guard at the time. At least one of you must have been standing by the door, right? Elizabeth, or anyone, left through that door. You must have seen the door open at least once. No, sir. The door not open until after the victim died, sir. Oh, I did the thing. Wait, hold on a moment. If that's the case, then who could have been the real witch? It's time. Clearly the witch must have been someone who wasn't in the courtroom at the time. I think you know perfectly well who I'm thinking of. You can't have proof of this. And we'll just have to drag her in here and see what happens. Defender, you know who the real witch is? There's only one person involved in the case that can possibly be the witch. One person who's familiar with the victim and was not in the courtroom at the time, dead. Real witch can only be... Hello, Vanessa. That witness. Yeah, stop right there, Defender. Wasn't she with Dr. Pilgrim the entire time? That seems like as good an alibi as any. Drag him in here, too. Or the Pilgrim could be lying. Could be. I hope you'll have a lot more than that once he takes the stand, Sir Baker. Oh, I will. And if this is the killer, which I know to be true, then he must be lying to give her an alibi. I will expose both of their lies. Bet he's secretly their dad. A witness, Vanessa Richmond, and the witnesses, Vanessa Richmond and Dr. Pilfton, have been summoned. They shall arrive shortly. But Lord, how can you take the defense's claims so seriously? For the witch to have been on the roof, that's just... As hard as it may be to believe, reaching the roof should be a little issue. It just so happens that there's a ladder built into the rock wall of the courthouse. The witch could have easily used that to reach the roof, provided they know of its existence. I suppose Dr. Pilfton may know of it, assuming he really is in with the witch. Really though, for a witch to have a human accomplice, that is simply unheard of. If you turn out to be wrong, Wright, your name will surely suffer. Whatever. Just a small-time baker anyway. But with that cleared up, there's not much left to say. Lights, bring the witnesses into the stand. Let's do this. Hello, you. Normally I'd request your names and occupations. But we are all familiar with both of you by now, so let's move along. Giving over the witnesses' introductions? That's gotta be a first. I trust you both understand why you've been summoned here. We've been watching the trial from the gallery. We know what's going on. So you're accusing me of lying? What did I do to deserve this? Besides being generally, a miserable human being? I am not accusing you of anything just yet. However, if you continue insisting Vanessa has an alibi, maybe I may have to declare you an accomplice. Accomplice? To a witch? Take a look at this man. You can't even say for sure it was the girl here who killed her. It could have been anyone. Oh, I'm more sure than you think. It's fine, Doctor. Why don't we play along for now? It's not like he can actually break my alibi, right? Fine, suit yourself. It is your neck on the line here. And let's get this over with quickly. Testify, witnesses. Witness about your alibi. All right. After I gave my testimony last night, I was in the waiting area with Dr. Pilfton. Well, I had to leave briefly to give my own testimony, but she was still there when I came back. As you know, the witch was killed after Pilfton finished testifying. Since I hadn't left the court in that time, I couldn't have done it. With their knights in the lobby with us, surely you aren't going to suggest they're lying, too. That's pretty much what I expected. It's like Pilfton really is going to vouch for her. But I know she's a witch, and we'll find a hole in her alibi if I must. Are you satisfied with this testimony, Sir Wright? It's enough. I'd like to begin my interrogation now. Very well. Though your client's innocence has already been proven, you may begin. Yeah, damn, we really are going in hard. Didn't Pilfton give a testimony right after you, though? Yes, but that's not exactly the important part, is it? All that matters is that I have an alibi for when my sister was about to be executed. Well, could have still done something while he was gone. Like setting a trap with strings, something like that. Maybe the doctor would have missed that, but there was still the knights. Ah, right, the knights. Them around Pilfton seems almost redundant. What were you doing in the waiting area, anyway? Wouldn't the gallery have been a bit more comfortable? I wasn't particularly interested in watching the trial, honestly. It was fairly clear you intended to drag things out with that big accusation, after all. You really didn't drag it out that long? Regardless, I decided to wait until the end of the trial outside of the courtroom. As I said, this girl here was still there when I entered. I mentioned that you had accused her sister. Then we talked about the trial for a little bit. That's all. And she did nothing suspicious. Guess he wouldn't tell me if she did. witch was your sister, in case you forgot. Oh, right, thanks. I'll be continuing my testimony now. Damn, cold! You even care about what happened to her? She was a witch, so no, not really. I didn't really know her anyway. She barely even knew her own family? I wonder if Victoria was the same. Now, as I was saying, since I hadn't left the court that time, alright. Dr. Pilgrim, are you sure she didn't slip out at all in that time? She did not. Her alibi is perfect. And I can confirm she didn't leave the courthouse either. As you should have imagined. Well, maybe, yeah. Maybe nothing, Sir Wright. It's except that I was in that filthy waiting room the whole time. What? Oh? What? Where'd you come from? Where'd you come from? Hold up. Where'd you come from?
Hang on!
Hey, you okay back there? Hey, Knight. Talking to you. Hmm? Yeah, you? You! Sir! Mike Beacons, no! Again, are you okay? Sir, do you not know what an honor this is? For years I have stood by these doors, watching witnesses testify and knights shout at each other. But never once have I been called to testify, sir. It made me quite jealous, sir, of all those witnesses getting questioned and doing stuff. While I was forced to watch, well, you notice everyone, it's a horrible job. But today, for the first time, I have been questioned. Sir, I could not be any... You'll listen to your life story later, bailiff. Right, what are you doing? This man is not a witness. Knight, he reacted to Vanessa's testimony pretty strangely. She noticed something. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. In fact, I was one of the knights who was in the waiting area at the time. I think the girl said rings quite strange, sir. Quite strange. You were? Then talk. What'd you notice? I'd be glad to, sir, but first, can I do the thing where I say my name and occupation? No. All right. Speak. Oh, okay. Sorry, Lord. Anyway, I was standing there, watching that old guy and the little girl talk, right? It made me sad that I couldn't join the conversation. Oh, my partner would yell at me. But then, the strangest thing happened next, sir. A little girl, she left. Oh, little? So you were lying. You did leave the courthouse. Actually, not really, sir. Huh? It's true that she left the waiting area, sir. But she actually went down to the Death Knell dungeon. So yeah, she wasn't actually in the waiting area the whole time. I find this very unusual. Well, that hardly means much. If you see this map, it's clear that there aren't any ways out of the courthouse down there. I guess so, but I wouldn't want the knight's testimony to go to waste. Maybe there was something she could have done down there to leave the courthouse? Yeah. Considering what we're dealing with. This knight who was standing guard may just have saved the case. Huh? What we're dealing with? Yes, although there were no exits to be outside the dungeon, Nessa could have used something in there that would have let her leave the courthouse unseen. And let's hear it. What could Vanessa have used in the dungeon to escape? Now to present the courthouse stain. That might be possible, but there's one simpler explanation we should eliminate. First. Doesn't seem she can cast Godor, but she can cast, Oh, yeah.
Take that!
Demir. Well, the killer was a witch. So why don't we assume she used what was available to her? That spell. That's right, Demir. You would have been able to turn yourself invisible while you were in the waiting area. If you had gone into the dungeon, you could have done so unnoticed. Once you were invisible, you just walked right past the knights and left the courthouse normally. Wait, that's not.
Objection!
That won't do, Sir Wright. What won't? Makes sense, right? Not as much as you think. Witness? Sir Knight, was it? That's not my name, sir! You were still standing guard until everyone came bursting out of the courtroom, correct? That being the case, I don't suppose you could tell us if the door opened at all? The door? Which door? Why, the one that separates the court interior to the outside world. Main entrance, in other words. No, sir. Definitely not. Maybe you just didn't notice it? Impossible. I'm sure you've heard that door on your way in. Funny how he's using the same excuse that Edward was using earlier. It creaks quite loudly. We really should do something about it. But today it works to my advantage. We can be sure that she did not leave through it. But before you suggest it, no, the windows do not open. There. Do you get it now? If I turned myself invisible, I couldn't have left the court. Let's make a note of that in the testimony, if you don't mind, my lord. I'll allow it. Witness, please update your testimony. Now let's return to the Right, sir! I just want to say I realized that I've been a really rather pathetic man in the past. Over the years, I came to loathe my job, but today, it may have saved the case. From now on, I shall treat my job with sincere respect and be the best bailiff you've ever seen. Good luck. Thank you, sir! Why'd you go down there, then? Why does it matter? Perhaps she was just curious about her sister's living conditions for the night. Half-sister. My apologies. There's no way she went down there for no reason. Must have been a part of her plan. Okay. Let's forget about what I think I know about her limitations. There's been something else she could have used to escape that in the dungeon. Well, can you do it right? You suggest how a witch could have escaped the court through Deathnell Dungeon? There is something. There was one thing that could work. Justifying it might take some work, but it's all I have to work with.
Take that!
Now we do the courthouse stain. Not something unusual outside Deathnell Dungeon. Traces of witch likely left behind, to be exact. Don't tell me you mean that green stain. That's exactly what I mean. This is how a witch could have left the dungeon. I don't feel like this needs to be pointed out, however. That stain could not have been used to leave the building. Why not? The witch could have just cast Godor and used it as a portal. It's just like in the last crime. No, it isn't, and you know well why. For one thing, that stain could not have been used as a portal in the first place. One-sided. Godor requires both opposite sides of a wall to be colored green. As I told you, only one side of that wall is green, the one with the stain. So please pack this theory away. No witch could have passed through that wall as it currently is. As it currently is, sure, but does that really mean they couldn't have passed through it last night? You mean, something was different about the wall between last night and now? It really is very simple. The thing that was different about the wall between then and now was... There was no... I should have shown you this choice. There was no wall! Both surfaces were green. What if both surfaces were green? That's impossible. If there was a similar green stain on the interior side of the wall, then where did it go? I hardly think a witch would have had time to clean it off before someone found her. Why do you assume the interior was painted? What? This could have made the wall's surface green. You have to push the Godor spell's limitations to the extreme. If we take the spell's description completely at face value, it should make sense. This is what the witch used to make the surface of the wall green. The scrap says white. Okay, the green curtain. Anything like a green cloth would do. I think they could hang up on the wall. For example, maybe that green curtain that was missing for the first crime scene fits the bill. You're right. That is pushing the spell's limits to the extreme. Wait a minute, though. You mean that curtain was in our courthouse? Yes, it is quite strange. I assume we have evidence that this curtain was used. As I said, any green fabric would do, but sure, I got proof. Alright. The scrap that Elizabeth found? This white scrap of fabric was found by the accused on her second day in the dungeon. I find it quite likely that it came from one of the white sections of the curtain. But the scrap that got ripped off when the witch hung the curtain on the wall, is that it? That's not all, my lord. This would be difficult for the witch to go down and take the curtain back with her. It's highly likely that the curtain is still in the dungeon. Lord, we finished our search of Death Knell Dungeon. Oh boy. Well, on with it. Well, let's hear it. Did you find anything? Lord, when we searched the dungeon itself, we found something hidden inside the barrel. A dirty green curtain, one that matches the one found in Rosemary Richmond's bedroom. What? Here we go. We're on to something. I don't understand. How did this curtain get into this court? I think the best way to explain this is to take it step by step. First, the culprit in this case stole the curtain from Rosemary Richmond's bedroom at some point. Then came the night of the trial. For a while, those two knights were standing guard in the waiting area. However, right as the trial was about to begin, they briefly left to escort the accused into the courtroom. While the room was empty, Vanessa left for a moment to get the curtain. She had probably hidden it somewhere near the court. He then took the curtain down to Death Knell Dungeon and hung it on the wall, opposite the stain. After that, the trial began. Everything proceeded as normal. And then I accused Victoria. After I was done with him, Dr. Pilfton came out and told you what was happening. So it's probably bad for you. We hardly set up this plan as insurance. I am curious to know why. I hope we get more about what the family dynamic actually is once we get it opening up more. He went back down to the dungeon, went up to where the curtain was hanging, and... Go door. Alright, that's enough of that. Oh, I'm just getting to the good part. Sadly, this is neither the time or place to be writing stories. Because there's still a glaring issue with your theory. What if they traded gems, and... Godor is actually Vanessa's gem, and, Demir is actually, Victoria's. He's right, you know. You really are stupid if you missed this. I could not have done any of this. Oh shit, alright. Ding ding, round 2. Spell broken. Maybe it's true that some witch out there could have made a portal in the dungeon. That said, it certainly could not have been the witch of this case. The gems of that scepter belonged to Ignace and Demir. I confirm the gems are genuine, the same way as I did before. If the witch couldn't have cast Godor, she could not have pulled this off. I don't understand why we had to spell this out for you, Defender. Everyone else has been waiting for you to realize your mistake. I know I'm on the right track here. That curtain we found confirms it. There must have been another trick at play here. Whatever it is, I will figure it out. Then get to it, Defender, at once. Alright, let's get to it then. It wasn't just any witch witness, it was you. Again with the accusations. You realize what you're saying is impossible, right? And had you explained the green stain outside the court? That must have been made by a different witch, for a different purpose. It's the only possibility. It's completely relevant to the case. There's no way that's true. Not only is that such a massive coincidence, in the dungeon we found a green curtain for the witness's own home. That doesn't prove there's a connection between this and the case. I don't know what does. Objection! Right, remember who was able to cast Godor in this case? It was the victim, Victoria Richmond herself. For all we know, it could very well have been her to have painted the stain on the wall. Why would she have done that? To escape from the court, perhaps? Any reason works, really. I guess he's got me there. This is definitely the biggest hole in my theory. Supposedly the witch is only able to cast Demir and Ignace. In order for my theory to work, she somehow has to be able to cast Godor, too. Is there a way for Vanessa to cast Godor? I mean, we can go down this path, and, let's try it. What am I doubting myself for? Of course there's a way. All I gotta do is point it out. Actually, Dr. Pilfton, I think casting Godor would be very possible for this witch. No, it isn't. Yes, it is! Then please stop scrabbling with the witness and tell us already. We're led to believe the witch couldn't cast Godor with one simple deception. That deception is in the, gem, scepter, number of spells. I'm gonna have to take a stab at this one. The gems, the scepter, the number of spells. We covered this Talia Magica with Ignace and Demir. This one had Fainfall and Godor. As for the gems, we really guarantee that the witch can actually cast the spells Ignace and Demir. Just because those gems were found in the scepter, you're going to suggest that a Godor gem was swapped for the Demir gem. But we've already tested both gems of the scepter. They are both genuine. Were the gems really swapped? Oh boy, we are cooking here. We are cooking here. Let's roll with this for now. They were swapped. Sir Edgeworth, please. That just means the Godor gem and the Demir gem are genuine.
Objection!
Impossible. Magic gems aren't something you just find out in the wilderness. Or could the witch have found a genuine Demir gem if not from her own scepter? From the first Talia Magica, from her sisters. The scepter from yesterday's case? Yeah. I've been under the impression that Victoria was able to cast Godor and Fainfall. The second witch was able to cast Ignace and Demir. However, I think that's only half of the truth, in reality. Victoria is the one who can cast Demir, and Vanessa is the one who can cast Godor. Yet no part of the testimony involving Vanessa, man, involves her becoming invisible. That's impossible. No, it's very possible. The truth is, the Godor and Demir spells were on the wrong scepters from the beginning. It's only when Vanessa went to kill Victoria when she put the Godor gem back on her scepter. Wait. And therein lies the problem. How could she have gotten the Godor gem from this scepter? We even had Dr. Pilfton confirm that during the trial that the green gem was a genuine magical gem. You're not going to say there was a third scepter at play, are you? No, there was no need for a third scepter. Covering this gem was actually quite simple. This is how she stole the Godor gem for the first scepter. Does it involve Dr. Pilfton? It does. Think back to the previous trial. Dr. Pilfton did the validation. Dr. Pilfton's involved. Sneaky bastard. Alright, we're in this till the end. How is it that we confirmed that the two gems were genuine? Why? Dr. Pilfton conducted his experiment on the gems. And how exactly did he go about doing that? Well, first I gave him the two magic gems, and he put the green one in a water basin. It floated, confirming it as a genuine magic gem. And then he put the Godor gem away and did the same too. No! That's just... The truth. When Dr. Pilfton pocketed the Godor gem, he finished the experiment. And the Godor gem he returned to you was a fake. Oh boy! No! Objection! What is accusation? I did nothing of the sort. Offender, I hope you know what you're doing. As was said earlier, accusing a witness as a witch's accomplice is a very grave accusation. More so than accusing a witness of being a witch herself. Don't worry, my lord. There's a very easy way to tell if Dr. Pilgrim is an accomplice or not. We'll just test the Godor gem again. You don't have a problem with that, do you, Doctor? My lord. As if Dr. Pilgrim performed the test again. My theory is correct. That this time the Godor gem should prove to be a fake. Well. Have a look, everyone. Don't watch too closely. Go on, do it. All right. Well, we look at that. It's sunk. And you know what that means. What does it mean? Dr. Pilgrim did the test on the Godor gem. He swapped it for a fake. There's only one reason why he would do that. When Pilgrim left the courtroom and went to the waiting area, he gave the real gem to the witch who was there waiting for him. And you, Vanessa, are the only one who would benefit from this plan. Well, what do you have to say to all that? Let me just show you a second. I was looking at I just noticed the change in the Talia Magicas. They've been updated to show the proper gems in them. Painful and Demir, and Ignace and Godor. That's a clever touch. Very clever. Stupid question. If I had anything to say, would you even listen? Probably not at this point, no. Still, I don't understand. Just why would you want to kill your sister in such a manner? The motivation behind a witch's movements is beyond human understanding. However, this much seems a bit extreme. Just what were you thinking? You thought you'd already worked that part out. The girl was going to say something inconvenient for me, wasn't she? She was about to tell us something else about the murder of her mother. Are you saying you were involved in that, too? Why else would a gem of my own scepter be on the murder weapon? But yes, there was a little bit more to that murder that you uncovered. I'll say no more. That's why I had to go and shut her up. Figured you'd try and pull something like that. And I was being threatened with my life. He said she would incinerate me and I wouldn't even see her coming. That's fine, Dr. Pilgrim. Your actions are excused. Oh, that was easy. Bam. Now, if that's all, bailiff, ready the fire pit. So there really was more to Rosemary's murder, huh? Wait. Did we just convict... We said it doesn't go to the flames. What? What is it now? Netta, confirm something for me. Yes. What spells was Victoria able to cast in the end? Was it Painful and Demir? Yes, that is correct. We got her convicted of murder. What? Ah, if that's the case, then we burned an innocent lord. Will someone please tell me what the matter is? My lord, what you've learned tonight has completely overturned the trial from last night. The one for the murder of Rosemary Richmond. We determined that the killer in that case was her daughter, Victoria, the victim in this case. Victoria didn't kill Rosemary. She couldn't have even entered the room to kill her. Not when she wasn't able to use this.
Take that!
Godor! Last night we thought Victoria was able to cast Godor. That's how he concluded that she got into the room, despite it being locked. But as we now know, that's not the case. Then who could have done it? Surely it would be, this witch here. Hey, I've got a solid alibi, you know. Come on, Baker, don't go turning on me now. It's It's true. She was with me almost the entire time. Well then, maybe the culprit had the key. That's impossible, my lord. Recall the events of that night. First, Elizabeth brought the victim her dinner, taking the bedroom key with her. He then left the room, locking the door behind her. Butler then came and took the key, confirmed himself that the door was locked, and left. He also had good reason to be certain it never left his person until they went to find the body. Well, it's good to be refreshed on the facts, but one little thing's still bothering me. How could anyone have gotten into the crime scene, Knights? That's a good question. One you intend to answer, I hope. You are the one who put us in this difficult situation. Based on what we just recapped, you may be able to put forward an idea as to how this crime was actually committed. If I'm right, that should point to the killer's true identity. Very well, Sir Baker, tell us. How did the culprit get into the room? Oh. They were already inside. What if they were already in the bedroom from the beginning? They could have sneaked inside the room while the victim was asleep, and hid under everything until evening when they came out and killed her. Simply, they could have hidden here. Space under the bed?
Take that!
Yes, that seems reasonable. It's a bit cliché. If there was anywhere in that room to hide, under the bed would do. The culprit then waited under the bed for Elizabeth to show up. Why the accused? They had probably decided from the start to set her up as the scapegoat. No, this piece of evidence certainly seemed like it was made to just to frame her. Green stayed in the bedroom. If we assume everything I've said so far is correct, the culprit probably wasn't able to cast Godor in the first place. That was just there to point the finger of guilt at the accused. I see. Still, this theory bothers me. Let's think about when the accused arrived at the crime scene. Is it true that she unlocked the door before going in? Maybe it wasn't actually locked. As long as she didn't check, I'm sure we can assume that. You may, but that's not the problem. For that, she left the room and locked the door behind her. For that, the victim was stabbed. Now, how did the culprit escape the room? The door was locked, as both the accused and the butler confirmed. And when you discovered the crime scene, you did not find anyone hiding there. In other words, they must have escaped the crime scene somehow. I think that can be explained. To get out of the crime scene, all they had to use was this. Curtain?
Take that!
False. This escaping the crime scene was easy. How so? Well, somehow, you know what I mean? Yes, you mean you're bluffing because you didn't think this through. Very good. Can't think this through. Lock the door. To the bedroom?
Take that!
False. False. All right. Oh, I'm dumb. It's the classic escape room trick of taking the... No, false. Incorrect. Okay, what about this? This key?
Take that!
Crime scene key. Could only have been the key. The culprit, after killing the victim, went to the door, unlocked it, opened it, and left. It was as simple as that.
Objection!
I'm afraid it's not that simple. If that's the case, then that means the culprit had the key the entire time. What about the accused? She said she was the one who locked the door.
Objection!
It just means she didn't have the key to the crime scene after all. She thought she locked the crime scene with her key?
Take that!
Alright, that's how that comes into play. The key to her own room looks almost identical to the one at the crime scene. If she stuck it in the keyhole and locked, she'd never have known it wasn't the right key. But if that was the key to the accused's room, then how did the door end up getting locked? Man, they're just bombarding me with questions tonight. It's an easy one, my lord. Magic. The culprit locked it. Come on, didn't we just establish who had the key at the time? It was the culprit who locked the door. You mean... That's right. Right when the accused put her key into the keyhole. The culprit was there, locking the door for her on the other side. What? I second that, what? The culprit really came out from under the bed to do this. And surely the victim would have noticed, unless she was already there. No, that would... Maybe she did. Maybe she didn't. Right, look at the crime scene. Notes. Look at the crime scene notes. The victim put up no resistance whatsoever. That means that... If she noticed someone come out of the bed like that, surely she would have done something. Oh wait, don't tell me. The culprit can cast Feign-Fall. No, actually, I think there was a way to pull this off without leaving the body in that state. The culprit just knocked her unconscious in a non-magical way. And if I'm right, that should point towards one likely culprit. So the culprit knocked the victim unconscious. Victim's dinner was sitting right there, but she only got a few sips of her tea before death. I find it very possible that her tea contained some sedatives. Ridiculous. There's no way you could prove that. The tea's still there, Edgeworth. Why don't you go take a sip? I'm not going to drink some tea that's days old. More importantly, sedatives? Where could our culprit have gotten something like that? Wouldn't be so hard, not for our culprit. Oh? Sounds to me like you're ready to make an accusation. It should be fairly obvious at this point. Culprit must be someone who would have access to such sedatives. And didn't have an alibi up until after Elizabeth brought the victim her dinner. The true culprit is Pilfnum.
Take that!
Everyone who was at the house that day, so a witch didn't kill Rosemary. And we got Victoria executed for nothing. Shit. There's only one person who had the opportunity to pull this all off. That person was you. Dr. Pilfnum? Wait. What? Offender? What sort of joke is this? Pilfnum did it. Are you saying the doctor is a witch? The doctor is no witch, my lord. Actually, this crime required no use of magic at all. He's just a murderer, plain and simple. A human. Look at the human's life. This is unheard of. This will turn our justice system on its head. And yet, it makes sense. Makes sense? What about this makes sense? There's no way I could have pulled this off on my own. You're right. There isn't. Fortunately, we've already heard from them both that Victoria and Vanessa were in on this crime. I think it's a safe bet to make that they were your accomplices. They were the ones who gave you the key and set up their schedules perfectly for your plan. And then, once you killed the victim, you made your presence in the house known. Went up to the bedroom. then pretended the door was locked, asked the butler to lend you the key, then swapped the accused's key back with the victim's key. What about my alibi? What alibi? Don't play dumb, I wasn't even at the house at the time. Oh, that's new information. Would you care to give your testimony about that? Where are you going with this? Just do it, Doctor. If you're really innocent, please clear up any doubts here and now. Fine. You don't see the problem. You will see a big problem once we're done here. No reason why everyone in that house that night were the only suspects. Victim had been sick for quite some time, so I was scheduled to check up on her in that night. Made my way through that forest and arrived just after the family had finished their dinner. Then went up to the bedroom with the butler and, well, everyone else, I guess. It was when we found the victim already dead. I had nothing to do with it. Happy? Ah, a good old-fashioned denial. But it won't work. You won't be slipping away from me, Doctor. Then begin your interrogation, Sir Defender. Alright, this is the end. Was she really sick? Yes. Ask anybody else in the family and they'll confirm as much. Alright, I'll believe you. Continue. You and your questions. How long did the journey take? About 30 minutes. Why? Just wondering. That's not as long as it took me to get through the forest. So I guess that much checks out. Right, so as I said, you had all just finished eating. Met with you on the lounge. Why'd they all come along? Well, obviously I needed the butler to open the door for me. The accused also came along to collect the victim's plate. And the rest of you tell me. Victoria was showing me the way to the guest room, if I recall. Anyway, you know what happened next. Can you really be sure you had nothing to do with it? Of course I did. I wasn't at the house until later that night. This theory of yours is just a story, not one that teller would even write. It's even worse. You would say that, wouldn't you? If you want a culprit, you better look somewhere else. But I guess I'll just have to stop talking already and show you some evidence. It's the same story he gave before even the first trial. There's something he overlooked. Something happened that he didn't expect. That oversight will be his downfall.
Objection!
Footprint reports. 5. You messed up, Doctor. You didn't arrive at the house at that time at all. Notice sooner or later. What are you two talking about? Oh, he caved easily. He was staring me in the face the whole time, but I've evidence that Pilfton has been lying. Pilfton had to have arrived at the house earlier, and have been hiding there the whole day. As if he hadn't. And why weren't his footprints found outside the house? You're late. What's going on here, Rosemary? What, did you forget about my condition already? Must be getting old, too. Who's that girl, and where did she come from? You thinking straight? There should be the one treating you. That is my daughter. Why, there are 3 of them. That's not how it was. Tessa told me. You've had guests here before. Rosemary, did you? Why do you care? What I did to make a living is none of your concern, is it? What? Or you? What did I do to deserve to be so thoroughly forgotten? What? Don't know how it happened, but 2 nights in a row I've witnessed an unprecedented trial. Are you Vanessa and Victoria's father? Mr. Edgeworth, what has happened to Dr. Pilkington? We've taken him down to Death Nail Dungeon, my lord. We'll decide what to do with him later. Very good. Oh yes, should probably also mention, we found this in his coat pocket. Is that the key to the crime scene? No, I find it more likely that it belonged to the accused's room. Which confirms your theory that he swapped the keys after you discovered the crime scene. Ah. He'd been carrying this evidence with him the whole time. Wow. And what about Witch? What do you have to say? What is there to say? A lot, actually. So what exactly was your and Victoria's involvement in this crime, anyway? I guess I can tell you. There's nothing stopping me anymore. This must have been how Victoria felt last night. Almost. The crime happened just about how the defender surmised. A few weeks ago, during one of his visits, Dr. Pilgrim approached us both. Let me guess. He said he wanted to kill your mother, and you happily went along with it? You're so dense. If you were to think it that way, you may. But yes, he did tell us his plan. He made us go along with it. We both had different roles. I was to prepare the key for him while stopping at Elizabeth's fort. Then after the murder was done, Victoria went up to our half-sister's room and painted the wall green. So I was right. That part was to make a scapegoat of her. Not entirely. It was one other goal the doctor had in mind. It was to make the murder look like it had been committed through magic. Magic, you say? Only a woman can be born a witch. It's one of the most basic rules of magic. By implicating a witch as the culprit, the doctor would throw any suspicion off of himself. Of course, there was one other thing. One thing he told only to me. I think I understand. There's a chance that Victoria might have been caught as a witch. Especially considering she was the one who was to paint the stain on Elizabeth's wall. That's right. That's why he had prepared a second murder plot as a backup. The courtroom murder? That devil! That's right. I had to go up to the roof and listen to her confession from there. When she was about to talk, I had to kill her. My own sister. You talk as if you didn't have a choice in all of this. Ah, but I didn't. I didn't go through this with a big smile. I didn't go through with this with a big smile on my face. You didn't? Don't listen to her, Wright. She's a witch. Witches need no reason for their evil. Which is why we send them to the flames, is it not? Edgeworth, that's... Didn't I say it was Dr. Pilgrim pulling the strings here? That we didn't have a choice but to go along with his plan? Tell us why! Nonsense! What, were you being threatened? You witches! Yes. He probably didn't intend to come off that way, but effectively he was threatening us, yes. Unbelievable! What sort of threat could a human possibly pose to a witch? I think I understand. Right? For Pilgrim to force the witch's hands. It's easier than you think. As long as this is true, threatening a witch would be quite easy. Any sort of witchcraft is punishable by death. Witch's existence alone is a crime. Use of magic is punished by death by fire. Just by existing, living alone in the woods, the two sisters were criminals. I bet that was what led Pilgrim to use you both, to cast some magic of his own. Very good. Yes, very good. It was indeed the extent of Victoria's motivations. Victoria's motive? What about your own? Well, I can't claim the same, can I? For one thing, I did try to kill the lawyer of my own volition. You mean Wright's ridiculous tale was the truth? I'm not willing to look past that, you know. Of course you aren't. But that's not all. Being rid of my mother, I thought that would free me. The moment we found that scepter, she abandoned our father and took us both into the woods. There, she would continue to interact with the outside world, even bring us a new father, while we lived our lives in isolation. It's been because I know why she did it, Defender, and yet, to object to Pilgrim's stupid plan, I don't think I'd have done so in either way. And so another trial has come to an end. God. Makes a bit more sense now. Rosemary retreated to a house in the woods because her two daughters came into their powers as witches. And the trials come to an end. As for Labyrinthia War, which shall be burned for her crimes. As for the circumstances surrounding this crime, that is an issue I will leave to the Knights of the Inquisition. Now on with the verdict. The charges of the murders of Rosemary and Victoria Richmond, this court finds the accused. And there was no rejoicing. Understandable. Ah, forgot you insisted. What can I do for you? You come to gloat, Miss Richmond? Pretty much, yeah. What? I guess I can't deny you the right. Bet I'm the laughing stock out there right now, aren't I? Elizabeth? Human murder? Is that what they're saying about me? Yeah? They're not exactly saying it in a mocking tone, though. Of course not. Murder's a frightening thing, after all. At least I'm not a witch. I'll be out of here before long. Aha. What? Oh, nothing. But you know, there is something I've been wondering. Are you actually a witch too, all this time? I've heard Vanessa's motive. Something like Victoria's, too. What about you, Doctor? Ooh, what? What about me? You were the one who went to my sister's with the plan in the first place. Says who? The witch? Yeah, figured you'd say that. So you're still denying it? Of course! What possible motive could I have to have wanted my patient dead? But you know, there's a certain thing to this plan that I found pretty interesting. It's the fact that it happened in the first place. Now, what do you say? My sisters, as they said, were living in isolation for a long time. It'd be difficult for them to both go talk to you. But if you went out of your way, you could pull it off. But why do that? It's almost like you knew those two were witches from the start. Their spells, too. You're the dad. So what? Why would that of all things matter? Wasn't it true that my mother went out to that forest the moment that she found out they were witches? Knowing that, there aren't many people out there who should know this fact. Know what I'm saying? So you do know why I did it. Yeah. Kinda petty, really. Pretty extreme of you to go and frame me on top of it, too. Wasn't very nice. It was nothing personal. I only made you the scapegoat because you weren't of my own blood. And yet, by your actions, only I remain alive. Thanks for that, by the way. Believe me, you're only pouring salt in the wound. I'm not going to have much of a life after this anyway. Let me die in peace. Oh, you didn't hear? Now what is it? You know that using magic is a crime, right? Yes? Well, let's think about your crime for a minute. You went up to two witches, threw a book in their face, and made them follow your murder plan. Basically made them use magic to hurt someone because you couldn't cast it yourself. Does that sound like using magic to you? What? You could thank the public for making that argument. It wouldn't look good to let you just walk out of here. I mean, you're basically a witch yourself. Don't be stupid. Look at me. I'm a man. Men can't be witches. Might as well be one. No, maybe even worse. Because who knows how many witches you could control just by stating the law. You, someone who would be willing to take advantage of the law like that, could cast just about every spell in the Grand Grimoire. I have no interest in doing, and you could do so without using your own scepter. Not a traditional one, anyways. And even your gender stops you from casting your infinite supply of magic. You're no witch. You're the great witch Bezella. Ooh! That's going too far. Is it? I think it describes you perfectly. I wonder if this stupid story will finally end when you're burned tonight. What? It's nice speaking with you, Mr. Pilfnum. Okay, thank you for not going path involving... Thank you for not twisting it and making Elizabeth a witch, too. But, man. Man. Ah. Are there more Labyrinthia fan cases out there? If so, that's an untapped... That is an untapped market that I need to get into. This was great. It took so much of the laws and customs set up by that game, that story. And took it in new and interesting directions. Really interesting directions. The idea of God, yeah, the idea of of humans, of the laws of witches' existence being punishable by death. The witchcraft in those games being like an actual threat, active threat to witches, to their very existence like that. Making them vulnerable to be taken advantage of like that. That's really powerful, honestly. And while perhaps it didn't get too much into the weeds of the family situation as deep as I would have expected, it was still really... It still did in the end. It still did in the end. It was a really odd family situation, but based on the core theme at the end of all this, it really made a lot of sense. In this world where witchcraft, the existence of a witch, is a crime, a mother, perhaps being too overbearing, moved out to the woods and hid herself away, hid herself in a family way, to heavily shelter her kids. Because they both had witches' scepters. And that's something powerful. That's a, something, honest to goodness, powerful. I suppose in the end, yeah, it's in this world where witches, yeah, it's an untapped area of really evil that maybe wouldn't have been befitting of Professor Layton game, but makes a very interesting point of discussion, too. In this world where the existence of a witch is a crime, that's a point you can use to blackmail a witch. You can use that against them, just because they're humans who just want to live. That point did get explored in the witches and the Layton Ace Attorney game. But this, the fact that that can be used and exploited to control them and blackmail them, that's a terrifying thought. It makes Pilfman infinitely worse. It makes Pilfman a shockingly good villain. Even if he didn't get too deep in the outright villainy, he's a shockingly good villain, but he's human, and humans are worse, can be capable of being worse than the witches that we demonize. That's terrifying. It also raises the question that in this sort of alternate universe where where possibly Layton and Luke were never involved, and obviously same character, same setting. There's the storyteller. Spella's around here somewhere, and Nick and Maya came here and were working the bakery together, but it was a case that happened. It's been a while since I played the early parts of this. I don't remember which case specifically it was. One of them from the original, but Maya was put to the flames because we couldn't win the case. The true culprit was found and put to the flames later on down the line. In terms of a case meant to change in-universe your perception of witches, that's a huge success. And hey, that was something I really enjoyed. That I really enjoyed. Not to change the mood, but I still can't get over that moment in the cross-examination where you could just go off the stand and question a guard, the bailiff. That was amazing. I was not expecting that, and it's. So I think I showed you the bottom screen once or twice, and it had the arrows that pop up to move back and forth. It's like there's a left arrow, there's a right arrow here. Why is there a right arrow here? Just guard. That was amazing. This is really good. Really enjoyed this. I hope you did too. Will we ever get Layton games on Steam so I can play through them without fighting with DS emulation? We'll see. Until next time, though, until then. Well, I should probably go back to the secret turnabout after this, because that final chapter is out. Perhaps we'll see you back in the secret turnabout to finish that. Until then. Talenda.